So some of you guys have been asking me how I make my guitar sound for the lo-fi and the chill hop beats that I produce. If you want to learn how to make beats like this, or like this, this is the video for you. What's up guys, my name is Kaiyo and this is an FL Studio production tutorial. We're just going to start here with a completely empty project in FL Studio. You see I've got absolutely nothing in my mixer and nothing in my channel rack. So before I get into the guitar sound, I'm just going to load in a piano and get some chords down because I like to always start my beats with the piano chords. So I'm just going to take out this sampler because I don't need that. I just loaded up the Imagiro Piano 2. This is my favorite piano plugin at the moment. And drop that tone down a little bit to get a really nice warm sound, which is what I always like to go for in my lo-fi and chill hop beats. And then I'm just going to add this to my mixer. So while I've got that selected in the channel rack, I'm going to use Control and L, and that automatically routes that to a free mixer state. It renames the mixer as well, which is super handy, saves you a little bit of time. I'm not going to add anything to this piano just yet. Let's just start building some chords. Just got a really simple chord progression here. We're in a scale of C major, and this is how it's sounding at the moment. And then all I'm going to do now is just select the whole progression, and that's just Control A to select everything. And then I'm going to use Alt and S to add a little bit of a strum to it, and then I can just tweak this little pop-up here to get the sound that I want. And that's sounding nice. You get a little bit of velocity variation there and just adds a little bit of a human feel to the sound. So I'm going to drop that in there, and just to help build the vibe, I'm just going to drop in a drone sound, and I keep this really simple. I'm going to load up the Labs Azure piano. I'm going to turn that attack down a little bit. Let's drop that straight into the mixer as well, using that Control L shortcut again there. And then let's build a drone pattern. And let's extend to 8 bars because then we've got a little bit more room to play with. So we know we're in C major, so all I'm going to do is add the C and the G, and then extend those to the whole 8 bars. Then I just want to mix out some of those frequencies. Just keeping it really simple here, as what you guys want to see is the guitar. Now this is a guitar sound that I have developed and built myself, along with very simple guitar chain in the mixer, just to get exactly the sound that I want. You guys keep asking for it, so I'm gonna drop the source in this video. So if you do want to see more of these videos, do hit that subscribe button. I'm constantly breaking down how I make my own songs, as well as production tutorials and tips. So let's get into it. I have the FL Studio Producer Edition, and with that edition you get a plugin called Flex. Flex has a ton of free sounds that you can download. So when you open Flex up, it might look a little different to this depending on what you have. But if you go across to free, you can see here there's a bunch of free packs that you can download. The one that you're going to download is called Essential Guitars. I've already got that downloaded here. So if you just go into Essential Guitars, what you'll see here is a list of guitar presets. You just go through them. There's all kinds of different sounds you can get. There's some more electronic sounding ones. There's some more kind of really processed synthy sounding ones. You know, you've even got kind of muted sounds, things like this. So there's tons here that you can work with. What we're going to go for here is this one here called Chill Guitar. Now on its own, it sounds like this. So you can hear it's got a really long echo. It's got kind of a weird warble effect. It's got quite a bit going on. To make the preset that I've made, the first thing we're going to want to do is just drop that distance down, that cabinet down, and that pad mix down. So we get a sound like this. So it's already just getting a more kind of simple sound. And you can always tweak these afterwards. This is just how I like to start my guitar beats. I'm going to turn that delay down. So we get something like that. It's just more of a refined, simpler sound. Or you can just turn the delay off entirely. I sometimes do that as well. And then I add delay or echo separately when I'm processing the sound. I actually might turn that distance back up. So there, what we have is just like a really simple guitar sound. And now that we've got a really simple guitar sound, the next thing that I'd like to do is add it to my mixer. It's quite a harsh sound on its own, so I like to try and kind of mellow that out, and then I'll add some really nice reverb, some really nice space to it, and go from there. So the first thing that I always add is an EQ. So let's load in. I recently picked up Ozone 11 equalizer. It's just an EQ. You can use any EQ you like. You can use a stock FL EQ. I use that all the time, or TDR Nova, but I recently picked this up and I just think it's got a really lovely interface, and I'm enjoying that I can add nodes wherever I want and just go from there. Keep it really simple. The first thing we're going to do is add a low pass and a high pass. I'm going to cut out anything above sort of that 150 to 200, and we're going to cut out everything below about 2000. Just to give us that really kind of nice warm range. And now we've got that, let's add a reverb. And one of my favorites to use is Valhalla Supermassive. So I used that for a long time. So let's load that in. And I tend to do this processing first, and then once I've written my guitar line, I'll go in and tweak it a little bit afterwards. So I've actually got a preset in here called Long Reverb. We've got on the mode Scorpio, we've got a mix of about 60%. Turn that delay up to about 500 milliseconds. That gives it that really long washed out reverb. And then I've got about 60, 50 on the feedback density, and not much else going on. Everything else is fairly standard or simple, and what that does, it just adds this really lush warm reverb. And that's pretty much it for how I start with my guitar lines. Now if you want to get a little bit more granular and get into how I write my guitar parts, there's a couple of things I always tend to do. One of the first things that I like to add to a sound like this would be kind of an ARP sound maybe. So let's try building that in. So we know we're in C major here, so let's try and build simple guitar ARP. I'm going to go with a G and a C, just so we're not playing those same notes all the time. And just build something out like this. And then you can hear that's quite harsh. So let's go in and drop another EQ on there. So this time I'm going to use the parametric EQ and then a high cut and a low cut there from about 100 to, I suppose here I've got about 3000. But I might cut that back. So it's usually one of the things that I like to add to my track. And then let's build in some sort of a melody. So let's take our steel guitar, let's clone it, because then we get that same preset coming through again. And then we'll add our second one to our mixer. And a little tip here for copying your mixer states is if you right click and go save mixer track state as, but don't click it, click and drag it. You can drag that onto another mixer, and what that does is it copies all of your processing over to that second mixer state, and that then applies to the other sound that you've added. So let's go in here, and before we add anything, let's open this up a little bit, try and build some sort of a little melody here. So that's a little bit too high there. So let's go in and cut out some of those highs. And you can see there really quickly we're just getting a really nice layering effect with our guitars. I might lower the velocity on these ever so slightly. And obviously there's mixing to do here. Turn the ARP down. And just to show you an example here, I don't always use the Valhalla Supermassive. I also have another plugin called Solaris, but it's basically just like a shimmer and a reverb. So let's add that. Let's see what it sounds. Turn that reverb up a little bit. You might drop these down a little bit. Let's actually try swapping these over. And then what I might do is build like a third or a fourth layer. I tend to just layer out guitars. Do something like this. I might actually switch those off and then build in some more layers and just kind of build a bunch of layers. And then when you've got 3, 4, even 5 different guitar layers, you can then split them out, arrange them, pan them left and right, and kind of build out your track using those to arrange. And that's a really effective way. That's a little tip that I picked up from Project Air, one of my favorite producers. He has a really great tutorial on building out, layers of guitars and structuring your tracks. I suggest you go and watch it. I'll pop a link up here somewhere, but I watched that and it really gave me tons and tons of great ideas. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much how I go about making my guitar sound, how I go about tweaking it, processing it. It's fairly simple. Sometimes what I might do with a main melody is add like a compressor or a limiter to make sure that all of the notes are sitting around the same volume, nothing spiking too much. But just as a really general overview of how I write, produce and create this guitar sound, which is something a lot of you guys have been asking me about, this is how I do it. So let's just add like a really quick bass to this. sounding a little bit empty, that section. And let's tweak it ever so slightly so that it plays maybe something like that. I actually think that sounds really nice, so I'm going to copy that over to this last one as well. That has like a really nice finality, a really nice kind of closure. We just take this here and let's start turning sounds off. So you start with just the piano and the drone. Then let's start building with the ARP. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I go about adding my guitar sound, processing it and building it from scratch. Now, when I'm building a whole entire song, I can go a little bit more in detail with what I'm doing to it, but just in general, if you guys want to make sounds like this, if you guys want to copy this exact sound, feel free. Go for it, find a sound that works for you. But yeah, found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Just like to say thank you all for 1,000 subs on this channel. I am truly grateful for all of the positive comments that you guys always leave me, and if you made it this far in the video, drop a comment saying 1,000. Peace out.